All right, folks, we are going to do about an hour-long stream. It's going to be a quick one, not long, easy to consume. If you are joining me on demand, thank you for taking the time to click on this video. We are going to be talking a lot about what makes Crimson Desert great for me. I highly recommend you don't listen to my opinions and make judgment on the game. You go out and try this game for yourself. Because my point of view is not your point of view in the way that you enjoy games. So we have to remember that listening to the ideas of strangers is not the best way to go about life. Especially when it comes to games. When it comes to games, taking just a little bit of time. Just a little bit of time. Hi. To experience it for yourself, I think, would be the best course of action. No matter what you've heard about Crimson Desert, there's a lot to be enjoyed, and it's going to demand your time. So we've got an hour. We're going to set an hour for my alarm to go off because I might get sucked in here. Hey Siri, set an alarm 1 hour from now. Alright, we got our alarm set. Let me make sure. Sometimes I set my alarms and then I find out that nope, it's actually not activated. Alright, let's end it at 6:15 p.m. It's now 5:15 p.m. Alright, cool. Let's turn up that alarm volume. Alright, so let me get my cam. Alright, got my cam. Welcome, Dryden Moss here, and I hope that you are playing games that you enjoy. Right now, for me, it is Crimson Desert. I kind of want to spend this stream doing a little bit of probably what might be more beneficial. Let me grab onto. Nope. I'm gonna grab this. Grab that right there. What do we got? What do we got here? That's one of the things I enjoy doing, is just getting knowledge, gaining knowledge by interacting with the world versus it just being spoon-fed to me. I have to go out there and look for it. I like that. Got another one here. Every time I see that question mark, it's like I'm learning something about the flora, the fauna, the insects. Yeah, it's captivated me on that small, tiny bit of what the game is providing to players. But I've got a database. Let me bring up this database here. And I will share with you what it is that I do through this game. And I'm going to go over a couple of things and talk about what I've experienced in my 35 hours. And that's not a lot of time. 35 hours is not a lot of time. As I said before, this game will demand your time. As I think you should demand good use of your time. And I say this every stream. Your time is the most valuable resource you have. And this game is going to ask/demand a lot from you to really find what fits within this game. If your preference is to rush from story point to story point, I think that's doing a disservice to what this game has to offer. I'm going to go through, again, these are alphabetized, or I might, you know what, I might, let's organize it by column B, which is my goods. Give me a quick second here. Let's go ahead and take our data and we'll sort it. Alright, so we're going to sort this entire database. We're going to sort it by column B, which is our goods, others, pores. We're just going to talk about those. Let's start back at pores, because I can also be very critical. All right. Starting here at the top, and we'll just kind of roll up towards some ideas and thoughts that I have on the game. All right, first we've got here is door access. Now, some of this might just be I interacted with a thing in the world and I just made a quick comment about it. I'm going to do my best for future versions of this to where I put in the topic, what the overall topic is about, but in the remarks, I'll zone it in, because I have sometimes where it's just the word immersion, but what about the immersion? A couple of these remarks, I do have that to kind of give myself a subtopic. So I will do my best to summarize to where I'm not repeating myself, but it's going to happen anyway. I'll try to do best I can here in an hour. And I said I was going to play it, but I might in the future here make a video to where I can just take a recording and then talk about the things I want to talk about, and then snip that particular part of the video in OBS. All right, so door access. Why is the player character? Why does he want to bash through the door when you're just checking to see if it's locked? I think as I've played more, I've learned that the character will know what the door is locked or not once he walks up to it. That's something that I just need to explore over time. But he seems to want to bash into doors every time I walk up to one, when I'm just really checking to see if I can go inside, to see if I can push the door open. This game, it is checking boxes, and I highlight these comments in yellow so that I know I need to come back to them. And if I can come back to them and add to them, then my feeling of that particular topic will change over time. I want it to be dynamic. I want to be able to prove myself wrong as well, because a perspective can be malleable, flexible, and be able to change. So that's what I want to do as well. So exploration. I love exploration. I love looting. I love open world interiors. It's not just an open world with a bunch of buildings. You can actually go in majority, if not all, the buildings. Over 90% of the buildings that I've checked are either locked and all I have to do is find a key, or I just go inside. And that transition is smooth. It's very inviting. It kind of feels like what you get out of the Elder Scrolls games. I feel like you were able to go in those, but there is no load times. There's not a go into a building and go into a load screen. Again, engine dependent. This is an amazingly graphic heavy game. The engine is quite impressive. I think it's called the Black Engine. Don't count me correct on that one. Not. There's no loading screens unless you die or unless you fast travel. Fishing, I love fishing. I love mini games. There are mini games. There are activities. There are puzzles. The difficult combat can be easy probably for some that know everything they need to know about positioning themselves, dodging, and parrying. So if you're a Dark Souls fan, I think you'll find something here that you like when you go out and find those particular enemies. There is a swarm of bandits, and I'm going to hopefully get to the point, because I do like to ramble and try to capture my thoughts by just kind of spinning the wheel, but I'm hoping they're catching traction so that we can move forward. But combat, I think, is really, really good. The draw distance. I'm in my VGs here, so if you're seeing here on the display right about up here, I'll try to push all this up to the top to where I know that the stuff at the top is what we're reading, so I apologize for that. Let me scroll this up here. All right, so checking boxes. It's checking boxes, difficult combat, loot and containers. Whenever I play a Dark Souls game and you break something and shatter a box, there's nothing inside. I'm like, why isn't there my effort for destruction? There is that here. And again, not everything is exclusive to Crimson Desert here. It's just checking boxes. It's just like, yep, I want that. Oh, it's here. Sometimes it's not there, and that's okay as well. There's definitely more goods than bads that I have experienced. Or I should say, there are goods that well overcast the bads. And when I say bads, it's just nitpicking. But we'll get to those. Draw distance, like I've seen a bird land on my shoulder, and it's from a character. Again, this is going to be spoilers, so if you're here and you don't want to be spoiled, I might talk about things that are spoiler. There's a character that I meet. She turns into a crow, and I think she's crow, but she's a white crow, and she lands on your shoulder to bring you updated information. And I'm looking at the crow on my shoulder, and I take a parchment from the bird's beak, and then the bird flies away, and I'm sitting and staring at the bird. I do this for some games, like when spaceships drop people off and then take off. I look at the spaceship and wait for the spaceship to see where it vanishes, like before your eyes. I feel like there is too many games that do that, but this one, again, I will continuously keep this on something that I look at, like what draw distances there are. And this could be better with PC games, so if you're on a high-end PC, your draw distances are probably going to be better, textures and all that kind of stuff are going to be better. But I was watching the bird that landed on my shoulder and took the parchment. It flew away, and I watched the bird, and it just, for as far as I could see until it went to a speck, and even the speck seemed to have its own like logic to it, and then it vanished. It vanished from vision. It didn't pop away. So I like the draw distances. Even for, there's this Nexus abyss, or abyss that you're on top of, up in the sky. You've probably seen this in trailer videos or some review videos, maybe even from highly proliferated like Digital Foundry. They're influential videos that talk about the tech of the game, and you see everything, and the engine's working amazingly. So draw distance is really good. And I can't say enough about how beautiful this game is, and I think that's part of it. And I've said this about Cyberpunk 2077. Night City is a character in and of itself that is worth your time to just spend time exploring that city. And the city is doing environmental storytelling left and right, and if you go out and look for those things or just happen upon them, there's stories to be told. And this world does that. Like Night City, Cyberpunk 2077 is my favorite game of all time, and Crimson Desert is one of my favorite games of the decade. It's checking all those boxes. Traversal, running, jumping, climbing, it all feels really, really good. It's smooth. It's the switch between you're running to leaping to gliding and all the stuff in between, riding a horse. It's very smooth. The animations are great. The world, nature is an abundant presence. It is living and breathing. There's so much flora and fauna that is living and breathing and inhabiting this world that you will come across it at a constant rate, and you can discover it all. Now, I'm not going to say, looking down at this grass right now, like, oh, what species of grass here? But you'll find flowers. You'll find critters running in packs and groups, and they're all doing their thing. And again, I will repeat this multiple times. Crimson Desert is not unique to making these things work. It's just doing it very, very well. So yeah, nature is in abundance. Party time. What did I want to say this? Summoning other characters alongside each other. We can fight together, but sometimes Damien, the female character, which I've gotten up to this point, again, I'm only 35 hours in, and I'm a meandering player. I like to just walk around. So you get a hold of, you get access to her, and you can have her ride alongside you. I've summoned her, and she's gotten on horseback with me. There's a couple of times where her like, she'll whistle for her own horse, but her horse doesn't like come to her, and I can see the horse is just right over there, but the horse doesn't talk to her. But you can bring party members with you. You can send party members out to do missions for you, but there's some little bit of bugginess. Sometimes we'll be riding on a horse together. I'll jump off my horse to engage some bandits that are around, and she'll just kind of sit on her horse, not doing anything. It's not as if she's just sitting on her horse. Sometimes she'll ride up with her horse and use the horse to kick, but I want her to jump off, and I kind of want to give her commands. But again, that may not be what this game is trying to do, and I'm learning new mechanics as I go. So maybe that's in there. But I do notice that the party time is really cool. It's cool that they're there, but I've seen some minor issues with why they aren't doing what they should be doing. And it's really just an order of operations, I think, because if I ride up on bandits and I'm on my horse and I get off first and immediately engage, and I haven't given time for the AI to get off their own horse, sometimes they just stay on their horse. Again, this is a very small observation. I'll see how it progresses as I actually use them more. But I have found myself getting off of my horse first, then engaging, and then allowing the AI to get off of their horse, and then engaging the enemy, and then they fight, and they will kill the other enemies for you. So, goods and others. Collection. What do you want to collect? Do you want to collect coins? Do you want to collect reputation? Do you want to collect gear? Do you want to collect lore? Do you want to collect bugs? There is so much stuff to collect and put into your space, into your collection bag, if you will, and it's all out there. I'll try to expedite a little bit more because I really only have 45 minutes and I've only gotten through a couple of lines. Graphics, good. Engine is a priority, not a property. Is proprietary, so it's something that they get to work on and tweak and make better and optimize. Interactions with NPCs is more rewarding than the average game, because if you interact with them, their trust goes up. And I think every NPC, I'm still testing this, I think every NPC's trust value will maintain itself as long as you say hello to them or greet them. Their trust level goes up. I haven't gotten any pets, like you can pet dogs, you can pet cats. I haven't gotten anything up to its max yet, so I'm curious what might happen. I've seen a screenshot that I came across that looked like a dog had a harness on that was carrying a bunch of stuff on his side. That seems like, oh, maybe we can have companions that kind of sit around and do things with you and for you. Take control. Player can take on enemy encampments and take control to allow for alliances to move in. So if you have a bandit that has taken over a campsite, it's a slave camp, then you can go in and wipe them clean down to a 0%. So let's say that there's 1,000 bandits, but you kill a good majority of them, and that, percentage, because it'll keep track of the percentage of effort that you're putting in. If it gets down to 0, then the rest will just flee. And then you take control of it, and your influence within that faction will kind of spread out as well. I'm still looking closely at how this system actually works. I'm sure that I could go online and find that answer, but finding it naturally is a lot more rewarding for me. Exploration, teleport waypoints. I like the way we find them and activate them. It's not, there's a question mark, a fairly large question mark, and if you just kind of center yourself on that, and then you can search. It's not putting a waypoint on the screen. It's not putting it directly on the map. It's giving you a small area to search. It's relatively small. It's not super hard. I've thought about, well, maybe I turn all this HUD stuff off and I just explore and just come across it naturally. Then I would probably be 35 hours in and still in the Hernand Castle area, which I spent a good chunk of hours. I spent 10 hours near Hernand Castle. It was quite impressive that I had that much fun in a small space, and this map is huge. Yeah, but teleport waypoints, I like the way that you find them. A couple of immersion things, I'll come through a couple of these. Collapse. Awnings will collapse, tents will collapse, things can be destroyed as you're fighting. It just seems to all interact with the player. I like that immersion. I love when humans are able to do things like walk, run, swim, jump. Very rarely do they let your character sit down. And this has that. You can actually take him. I'll see if I can get him up against a tree. His name is Cliff. He doesn't like to sit on chairs, but you can walk him to the edge of a cliff, and he seems to sit down on that. I think you can lean up against any tree. If I just stand up against it and then I hit the L3, I can just chill against a tree. That's pretty badass for him. I want to check the other characters that you can play as and see, well, maybe they like to sit down. Maybe Cliff just likes to hang out at cliffs. So I'm going to walk him up here. I'm finding a new way to scale mountains. All right, so I can't just sit down where I'm at. If I just stand here, it would be nice if I could sit down. I might put that in a future. Hey, that would be cool if I could do that. But let me see if this works. I should be able to walk up to the edge of a cliff. Maybe. Let's see if we can get a little closer. All right. And then just, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Come on, I'm trying to do a stream. All right, let's go with that. Nope, that's cling. Maybe I have to be really, really high up. Let's see what I'm doing here. Nope, doesn't look like I'm going to get it. But I will say, I have walked up to high cliff edges and it'll give you the ability to sit down. I'm going to explore that a little bit more, but it seems to be there is sitting, there is leaning with Cliff. Whether or not he likes to be on any cliff edge, obviously I've just answered that for myself, no, but there are cliff edges that I've walked up to, and it lets you sit down. And I'm not saying it's like one point in the world, but there's a couple of areas that I've found. But that's going to take a little bit more exploration and investigation on my part. All right, user interface. Quality of life, it's really very good how menu quality has gotten better because they've been updating it and they've changed the layout of menus, and they're probably just going to keep doing that. It's their engine, it's their game, and it is good, and they're treating it with respect. They're treating the players with respect. They're listening to them. You can go over on the website. It's either Pearl Abyss or Crimson Desert website, and you can post all of your bugs, glitches, wants, needs, and they've been answering those, and they'll give you a list of known issues that have been fixed. They are active. They were updating it on the regular, so it's there. They are active. Graphics, lighting is really, really good. I am playing on PlayStation 5 Pro. I upgraded my PlayStation 5 to a PlayStation 5 Pro because Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red announced that they're going to do a PlayStation 5 Pro graphical update, and that was going to be the only trigger for me to upgrade. So I have a PlayStation 5 Pro now, which lets me play PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced games, so that's always a plus, and it'll get me ready for future games that are coming out. Grand Theft Auto 6, it now lets me play Crimson Desert at a better quality, a lot of ultra settings there, so that's quite nice. Graphics, really good. PlayStation 5 Pro looks great, runs great, and the lighting is amazing. I walk into a cave or fall down into a crevasse or glide down into a crevasse with my lantern lit up, and it just illuminates so nicely. There are some oddities. There are some things that seem a little uncanny. I've recorded a couple of those. It almost looks like an aurora borealis along the floor. I'm not quite sure why that happens, but sometimes it happens, and I'm sure that they're optimizing and continuing to make the graphics engine better. Memories. There's some really cool interactions. I would call it sort of a Batman investigation, to where you go into this other world flashback that you yourself weren't a part of, but you get to see other people's memories and the imprints that they left behind and these echoes of what happened. And it's really cool. He puts on this alien-looking helmet and gets to see what happened in that spot. And they are everywhere. They're not... And you have to have... your lantern equipped. So right now there's a lantern that you can see on the characters. Let me kind of pull this up a little bit here. So you can see the memories tab on number 86. You can see on the character's hip here, they've got a lantern which is actually illuminating where I'm standing right now. You go in and you actually hold on to it. Sorry. You push this button to hold the lantern out, and if there is a memory around, it'll first radiate and pulse this blue ring around the lantern saying, hey, there's something nearby, and then you hold it out and then get in the vicinity and it will run that. He'll put the helmet on, and it's really cool. The memories are awesome to find. Traversal. Character automatically steps up and over waist-high terrain. This might seem really simple, but let's say that he's right here. He's walking up. Hopefully this one right here in front of me. This is a waist high. He should pull himself right up like he just did. I don't know how many games just like, why do I have to push a climb? Just it's waist high. Just step over it normally. It's natural. It's a flow. It's great. Again, checking those boxes. There is so much to see. There's life happening. It feels alive. And I've only really been in one major city, and that's Hernand Castle. But I've also been to a institute, which is up on a high mountain, which is probably very popular. I don't know if I can get it view here. That is Hernand Castle right up there. I love hanging out in this spot. There's a barmaid that I've started to like interact with every time she runs the kitchen and all that kind of stuff. Dahlia, I think is her name. And I'm trying to get her trust up to see what happens. It would be great if the NPCs that you find in these towns and cities, like if you get their trust really far up, maybe you gift them you can gift NPCs things. if I gift them enough, maybe they come over to my campsite, which was given to me by the Marquis of Hernand Castle, or the Hernand or the Celeste estate. Again, there's estates, there's factions. Hopefully, I can get to that. I know I'm running out of time. I'm rambling here, so I'll try to expedite a little bit. We're almost done with the VGs that I found, and this is just 35 hours. I don't log everything that I see, but if it inspires me, I take a jot down on it. Yeah, the memories are really cool to look at what happened before in the spot that you're standing in. I've done recently, there was a puzzle that I found a sword from a legionnaire, and it was in a chest, but I couldn't get to the chest because there was this grate that was down. So there was a very simple puzzle. Again, depending on how much you play game, it might not be that simple, but it just had a statue with its hands out, and in its hands was two candles. And by playing the game, I just naturally, found out that I could snuff out fire or light fire with a flint. And I was like, oh, what if I just light the candles that are in the hands of this statue? And sure enough, I lit both candles, the statue raised up, and then the cage raised up, and then gave me access to the chest, which had the legionnaire sword in it. And this was just me meandering across it. It wasn't populated on the map. It didn't say, hey, go here. It wasn't a mission. I just came across it. And there's so much going on. And like when I walk through a city, there might be a dog that is chasing a cat, or maybe it just happened to be running at the same time as the cat. There was what is a swarm of cats called? Like, it's not a gaggle, it's not a swarm. A herd of little cats and kittens came out of this alleyway, and I was watching them carry on about their life, which was really cool. And I'm trying to pet as many pets as I can. Maybe I'll just have this, like, I'll walk into a town that I know all the pets, and the pets just come up to me, and like the cats rub up against the leg, or the dogs come and like put their paws up on my chest and like want hugs, and like that would be cool. But the same thing with the NPCs. I hope when I get their trust level up, maybe something happens. We'll see what happens. Music, very mood setting. I don't want to say that it's like Minecraft. I only say that because I'm currently playing Minecraft again. I'm getting into different ways of playing that, and Minecraft music is usually pretty chill. This game has music that's pretty chill. When you get into combat, it gives you the tempo. When you're in a vendor spot, the vendor music comes in. It's just, the music is very well presented, and it gives that ambient atmosphere that you can just sit back and relax in. Reload into save. Every time you load into a game, it's got this great transition. Now, there's different categories of fantasy. I kind of get that. There's high fantasy, there's dark fantasy, there's like Cthulhu fantasy. There's a lot of sub-genres of fantasy, but this is a fantasy game. There are dragons. There's like almost magical mechanic stuff that's going on. There's trains that I think I've seen. There's dragons. Like I said, you can ride dragons. There's horses. There's these mystical beasts that you have to fight. There's mystical entities that seem to have an otherworldly attachment. And up in the sky, which I'll go to right now, up in the sky there is the abyss, and it just seems to be controlled by something otherworldly, and I don't know what that is. Maybe we'll never know. But I'm going to teleport there. Oops, sorry. Come over here. Teleport. And I can jump off the abyss and then fall down to the ground. And there's a decent transition there because you can see the entirety of the map while you're up here. Oh. Now, okay, I have had this happen a couple of times where it spawns me. Let me see if I can do any input. Nope. The game has spawned me in here. It recognizes that I haven't done anything. It just recognizes that there's something wrong, and then it fixes it. I've had so many games where I get stuck in geometry, and I have to reset my entire game. I don't know if that's something that is just naturally happening, or maybe it loaded too fast and it's still catching up on the load. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to work on that. I did drop that into the website that I talked about, where you go to Crimson Desert, Pearl Abyss, and drop your comments in there. But this is a very like sci-fi mystical thing, so I would consider this high fantasy. I love the lighting. Looking down there and each individual speck of light, it would be cool to see whether or not some of these lights that I see are actually attached to something. This is Hernan City right below me. I was just directly below in this valley there, in that section, and those waterfalls were nearby. I was just there. Now, this is running because this map below me is not a seamless transition. Maybe it is on PC. So I'm going to jump down here. You'll notice that I'm falling. It will transition to this tunnel vision thing. I don't know why it does this, because then it transitions to this, and that's essentially slightly closer. But each individual light here, let's see if I can go down to this light. Let's see if it's just in front of me, just above my head. There's this light that I'm kind of honing in on. Now, it's still there. It's still well populated. It still exists. And it is attached to what looks like a fire or somebody's lantern. I'm going to slowly... Yep, it's been there the whole time, and it was a fire. So that's pretty freaking cool. But it's stuff like that. This reload to save kind of zooms you through whatever like place that Cliff and what he's attached to. You'll see this if you play the game in the opening hours, like some of the things that are trying to help him do the things that he's doing. Because I think he's like this spoiler. I told you before, if you're watching this, you're going to get spoiled on some things. I think Cliff is dead, and something brought him back to life, and he's just on borrowed time. But that's something to figure out as we go. All right, we're going to jump in here to the red. I've got about 30 minutes before I need to end here. We'll get into some of the pores. So I do what's called a gap. So there's always a gap between what you really like and what you really don't like. And it's everything in between is hopefully what you understand and don't knee-jerk reaction. If you get into a game, and like for me, my biggest pet peeve is when you microtransaction a game. And they're not micro, they're macro transactions. These are huge extra bits of money for cosmetic things that Marathon's done this quite poorly. They have macro, large transactions for fractions of what their entire game is. It's not playable content, it's just skins. $100. Their game is $39.99, and you can put in $100 and get 3 skins. They're saying 3 skins is more valuable than their entire game. This game doesn't do that, but if it came out with a paid expansion that added a different section to the map, add playable characters, added content, story, I'd pay for that. If it adds playable content, I'm okay with macro transactions, but it's one of my pet peeves. But again, there's a gap between what you like and what you don't like, and when you have those things, hopefully you get to see both sides of it and you get to bounce between those things. There's good things in Marathon too. I'm not saying Marathon is bad. It's just one of the poorest things that I see is its macro transactions. Some of the poor things that I've seen here, and I add poor just because it's a poor representation of what the game really is, or it's poor to see that it's bubbling up to the surface. Game design. Now, I will say, full disclosure, sometimes I will write these comments as soon as I interact with them. So some of these things, I don't have a timestamp on when maybe that's something I'll do in the future. Is like, I was this many hours into it, and I saw it at this point in time during my playthrough. Maybe that's something I'll do in the future. It's like, well, since then they've fixed this. So if they've since fixed some of this stuff, or they've changed it and it's not there anymore, I'm just going to let you know the things that I've experienced. Game design. I have no idea sometimes what's going on. But during the quest... okay, so this one, particularly down here in the red, I think I've updated it. There was a time where I was fighting a bunch of bandits, and then it just suddenly faded to black. And I thought the game crashed. but it didn't. It was whenever you clear an area of enemies down to a 0%, even if there's some leftover enemies, those enemies will sometimes scatter, or it will just say, hey, you've you've weakened this blockaded location, so you've won. You've taken control of it. That's what it was doing. When I initially saw it, I thought, why is it stopping? And I'd be in mid-swing, mid-battle, and I'd be like, what the heck is going on? But it seems that there's some game design things that seem inconsistent, like they're really, really good at things, and then they're really kind of like, what? Enemy awareness. There are instances to where I will be fighting within earshot, within eyesight, within a stone's throw distance, sometimes it feels like, and I'll be killing bandits. And there'll be bandits sitting over by a house, and they'll be just kind of squat down, maybe chatting over a campfire of ale, and I'll be killing their comrades within eyesight and within earshot and within rock throwing distance, and they won't do anything. But if I go within some invisible bubble that does aggro them, then they'll come and fight. But there has been instances where I could just pull aggroed enemies away, even though they were right next to a friendly or they were in the vicinity, and they could be seen by their allies. The other allies wouldn't respond to me killing their friends. So some of the enemy awareness feels a little funny, but it's not consistently that way everywhere. It just creeps up sometimes. Companions. Companions calling their horse. This is what I talked about before. There are instances where your companions will whistle for their horse. This is when you get access to some of your other playable characters. When they are with you and you're off your horse, you're looking for your horse, you whistle for your horse comes, rides up along, or gallops up next to you, and you jump on. But the NPC companions that are with you will sit there and whistle, whistle, whistle. Their horse will never appear. Sometimes when their horse is within eyesight, I can see their horse. It doesn't come to them. So they might need to pet their horse a little bit more. That might help. But sometimes companions have some issues with their horses. Audio. Why do the bounties keep yapping? This might just be with bounties only, but if you go out and you're looking for a bounty and you come across the bounty and you tackle them, if you attack them, whatever it is that you need to get control of them, you hand tie them, hog tie them, and you put them over your shoulder, you carry them to your horse, you can put them on your horse. I actually was carrying a bunch of my bounties in the beginning, not knowing I had to do I'm playing on PlayStation 5. I had to press the L1 button in order to have a different menu to take the bounty person that you were carrying and that was hogtied off your shoulder and put him on the hind of your horse. I didn't know that, so sometimes I'd ride all the way back to where I needed to drop them off with them on my shoulder. Cliff's pretty buff. He picks up tree logs or large trees that he's felled and uses them as a weapon. But you can put them on your horse and ride them back. While you're riding them back, they keep repeating the same thing, and they're just like, "Shut up back there!" I just want to throw them off the horse or ride over a cliff with them on the horse, which I might try. Ride over the cliff. The horse. These horses are the bravest horses I've ever seen in any video game. You'll ride up to a cliff edge, and they will leap off for you, and they will flutter into small pieces, and then maybe coalesce again back on the floor. But they're brave. So audio, they just keep repeating it. It's like, please stop saying the same thing over and over again. They're like pleading to be released, but they're like reminding you of what their history was, and like, please feel compassion for me. Combat. Traversal. Something I think they need to fix. I'd like to see horse mobility be the same. Oh, wait, this has been fixed. So I'm going to put a green on this one. All right, they fixed this. There was a point where you would walk with your character, and if you hold down, this is on PlayStation, you'd hold down the button to sprint. You couldn't do the same thing for the horse. You press on the left analog stick to get the character going. You can tap it quick to speed up the character. You can tap it again to start sprinting, but you can let go of the button and just hold the analog stick. The same thing was not true for the horse. You'd get on the horse, you'd start galloping, you'd want him to sprint, and you'd have to hold down the button instead of just pumping it and then letting it go, and then you could focus on using your... Again, this is something unique maybe to console players. I like to free up my camera control on the right analog stick while I'm manipulating the direction of my characters, even if they're on a horse. But they have fixed that. Combat. I'm not sure why, but when fighting a group of bandits to clear out an outpost, I killed a good majority of them, and the game seemed to spawn more. Yeah, so if you are fighting a group of enemies, and let's say you're at a big, large prison camp, and you're on one of the outposts just on the perimeter of that prison camp, you can take out all of the enemies that are hanging out there, but if they kill you, you'll spawn somewhere nearby, and if you run back there, it sometimes seems to be that they've respawned them there. But the percentage at which you weakened the entire outpost or the entire camp is the same. I'm not quite sure why they do that. Might be something that I add. However, I can articulate that in an easy to understand way when I drop that feedback on their website. Lantern, interact NPC. Why does the player character always seem to hold up their lantern when trying to converse with NPCs? I think I fixed that on my own. That's something that I might have to re-look at, because there were instances where I just want to talk to an NPC that had story-related content. I just saw a meteor, and he'd hold up their lantern in their face. I think maybe I've seen NPCs hold up their hand, but not say anything, just hold their hand up as if they're thinking, can you get the light out of my face? But it might have just been a happy coincidence. But yeah, sometimes when I try to talk to NPCs, my character holds the lantern up in their face. Traversal, bumping into NPCs. Oh gosh, yes. So as I'm traversing, primarily when I'm on a horse, I don't know if this is all right. Sometimes it's just unavoidable and causes reactions by the NPCs when they're simply trying to walk by. Oh, so as I'm playing as Cliff and I'm by myself, I will walk by a character in a congested or crowded area, and instead of just shimmying through Assassin's Creed style, just he brute forces his way through them, and then they all get knocked over and they're like, hey man, I'm drunk, but I was just trying to get by, excuse me. I wish I could say, excuse me, get out of my way, and then they'll kind of part the seas. This is really odd whenever you're on your horse. Your horse has this invisible ring around it that just seems to scare the crap out of people. And I'll just be moving forward, maybe even at a slow trot, and then everybody turns around like, oh god, a horse! And they'll get really scared, or I'll be riding by them at a gallop, and they are way over there, and I'll hit them. The horse nowhere near hit. You could fit 2 more horses in between where I was and that NPC that just happened to fall over, and it's almost like fraud. Horse accident fraud is going on. They just react too far out from what the horse is doing. Animations. Cooking is more motion than immersion. All right, there are instances where you try to cook a thing of steak, and it'll show the character flipping vegetables. Why isn't he flipping the steak, or why isn't he cooking the steak on the pan? I've gotten myself past this, and I'm just saying, he's making a side dish. And then it switches, after he shows you flipping the vegetables, and it switches over to the finished steak. But it shows the steak at the end. Why don't you show me cooking it at the time? But I've just told myself, he's just cooking a side dish there. It's an interesting animation. Graphics. Pop-up. Okay, so there are some pop-ups, like these marigold flowers that are in front of me right now. I don't know if I can step back and have this do itself again. Let's see. We're going to see if we can repeat this process. Livestock fence. Oh, this is something new. Livestock fences facilitate the illicit trade of animals. They accept livestock such as cows, goats, sheep, pigs, ducks, and chickens. Approach a fence. Oh, this is a new activity. Now I'm going to be picking up a bunch of wild animals and throwing them into a pen. I love the activities. All right, but sometimes when you're walking up to these yellow flowers, they could be fixing this. They just seem to pop up out of nowhere. And before this this happened, whenever I saw this for the first time, I thought nature was trying to lead me in a direction, but it was just right there, right in front of me. I don't know if you saw it. You can see it happening right there, over there to the right as well. It's just they're popping up. Yep, one popped up there again. That's kind of weird. That's a very close distance. But these are things that you can pluck, and you can take these every marigold that you saw just pop up. You can take that. Now, is the game procedurally generating these or spawning them? I give them a little bit of leeway there on that one, but it just seems just a little bit abrupt. All right. Settings. Why am I required to adjust the gamma and brightness balance value of the game screen every time I start the game? It's still happening. Not maybe as much as it used to, but every time I'd log into the game, it'd say, yeah, can you set your gamma so that which gamma setting do you like? I don't know why it keeps happening. It's repeating itself. It's getting a little annoying, but that does happen. Why am I required to do that? Audio. I don't know what I said for audio freezes. I haven't had that ever happen again to where I'll keep an eye on this one. There might have been like an audio tone or something that froze up or the audio stopped. I might mention this in the near future on some of the other line items above this. Sometimes or all the time, if I go into a menu listening to really good music, I go into the menu and all the music just stops. It doesn't freeze. To me, freeze sounds like it's like and it's just like having a seizure. But I would like, and this might be up further above with either my pores or my ideas, I don't like that the music stops. I wish it would just go into something else that's nice and comforting, because I like looking at this map. I like exploring it and say, hey, let me go over there. Let me go take care of that over there. Or if I see any red camps, like, oh, let me go here. But while I'm here, the music's gone. And I wish it just kept going. Would be nice. All right, that's audio. Graphics. NPC model seams are obvious. Oh, this only happens whenever I'm up against the really big ogre-looking characters that seem to have, for some odd reason, the same voice as small people. They'll talk like this. It's like every one of them is Mike Tyson voiced. I don't know why. They look hulking, like they should say, yes, it's good to see you, sir. Oh my gosh, it's you again. Something like that, but it's like, oh, the weather, it was great today, wasn't it? And it's just, wait a second, that wasn't what I expected. But there are some seams for those larger guys to where you walk up to them and you're kind of looking up at them, but you notice that their arm model you can see right inside the model because the seam is broken. I've seen that happen a lot. Lip syncing doesn't seem to exist in this game. I'm not going to rule it out. I'll look at it a little bit closer, but sometimes it just seems like the audio is not synced up with the model itself. I saw the graphics on the falling water. This was in the early hours of the game. I got killed, and I got pulled into another existence, the abyss or whatever it is that brought me back to life. And within there's some really choppy, it looked like somebody had taken a bunch of polygons and threw them over an edge continuously. It was very blocky. It didn't look like water at all. Maybe I could let that pass because it was in the abyss, but I think maybe they've improved upon this. I think it might have been an engine thing. The water doesn't look bad at all outside, so I haven't seen that happen again. So I may need to recheck that one to see if it still exists. NPCs. They pop into view and clip through other NPCs. When you summon your horse, when an NPC is walking around, they will apparate, if that's the right word. They will phase right through your character. If you call your horse and your horse rides up next to you and for some reason wants to come back around to you, or it might just walk up from behind you and go right through your back and be like, wait a second, and it just seems odd. Now, it's not a huge problem. It doesn't inhibit gameplay in any way. It just looks weird, like sometimes they will walk right through you. For the most part, they try to get away from you and walk around you, but it does happen quite often. It happens to where it's noticeable. Graphics, reflections and eyes can be strange. I think the ray tracing on consoles is what's doing this. Sometimes they'll have this pixelated shimmer. I think Digital Foundry mentioned some of these issues as well. I'm becoming familiar more and more that I watch from Digital Foundry on what these graphical oddities really are, but there seemed to be some oddity with reflections and eyes. Feet clip through bump mapping. The game does a really good job with creating bump mapping, and this really is most apparent in cities and towns that have the cobblestone flooring, and it bumps it up considerably, and it looks really cool. If anybody was actually living in these towns, there'd be twisted ankles left and right. Like, you'd have to step on each individual cobblestone because the gaps within that, you're like the side of your foot's going to roll. Guarantee you they'd be rolled ankles in this day and age, especially with the way that the bump mapping works. So it's kind of weird. But because it's a bump map, the feet go through the cobblestones, and half of their foot height is below the cobblestone's top surface. So it's something that would be nice to see if they could just lift that in some way to push the characters to the top of the cobblestones. It'd be great. All right, we'll do a couple of the. We'll just do the goods. There's so many goods. I know this list is short, but water's cool. Immersion. I love the ability of the NPCs. They go in and out of their homes. They move around. They don't just stay in the same place all the time. They stand up from a laid down position or a crouched position and then move about. The immersion and the way that everything feels living is really, really good. Audio, again, there are some poor things that I've seen with audio, but there's also good things that I've seen with audio. There's good things that I've seen with immersion. There's bad things I've seen with immersion. I'm looking at both sides as much as I can. So the audio, voiceover is echoing if wearing a helmet. That's good. I like when the character puts the helmet on, and then when they do their voiceover, it sounds like they're inside the helmet. They actually do that. I like it. Gifting. You can gift things to NPCs. Gifting things to NPCs makes their trust level go up, and again, this is something that I want to explore to see if it does anything different. Combat, very fun, very engaging. There's so much leveling up that I have to do. There's a skill tree I need to invest in. That's something that I want to do. That's something I will spend time with. Voice acting, above average. It's really, really good sometimes, and it's really like, maybe you could have tried just a little bit harder. But again, these guys are the pros, not me. It's just me nitpicking. But overall, the voice acting is pretty good. Precision jump, I applaud game designers that let me do this. So I can jump, right? I can jump straight up. But if I want to, I can do a precision jump. This is really, really effective whenever you're trying to jump on cliff edges and you want to make sure you hit right where you want to land, and they give you that option. So that's really, really cool. I appreciate that. Arm wrestling, another activity. I like the arm wrestling. I wish it was consistent, but I also have noticed that it's not always there. So it's not like, man, there's an arm wrestling competition all the time here. So I did like the arm wrestling. I've done rock, paper, scissors. I like the fishing activities. I like this new activity that I just came across during this stream where we could pick up animals and then take them to this cage and drop them off. I will be doing that. I absolutely love doing that kind of stuff. And this just comes from Zelda. I like picking up the chickens and they're and you're throwing them into the pen to complete a mission. Like, I loved doing that. And I'll do that activity here. Learning. It is an amazing thing to do and learn things by doing things and interacting with NPCs. They'll give you information on local gossip or a mission that you can go out or a location that you can go out and explore. It'll tell you about cooking things. It'll tell you about all things in the world, and you just learn by interacting with the NPCs, which in turn earns trust with them because you're greeting them, you're talking to them. Again, I want to follow up with this in the future and say, hey, all that trust leveling up that I was doing with the NPCs, they all love me now. It's like, hey, they're not saying, hey, they're not called stranger anymore. They're starting to have names. If I could get max friendship or trust with a cat or a dog, and then I get to name them, and then they come over to my camp or they come adventuring with me, wow, that would be a huge, huge thumbs up. All right. Yeah, learning is great. Learning things by doing things is very natural. It feels natural. First person. Movement feels natural and weighted. So if I go into first person, you can play the game first person if you like. I don't think that you can combat in first person. Yep, so you can't. But if you want to explore, let me get out of combat. If you'd like to look closer at things, I like that I have this option. I can move about the world, but if I ride a horse, if I go into combat, it kind of pulls you back out so that you can see around you and be more effective in combat. But I like the first person mode. Lighting, it actually gets dark. I mentioned lighting before, but it's also kind of good to reiterate that the lighting is important, because when it gets dark in confined areas, it is dark. So you use your lantern versus just the lighting being great. But that's also why some games tell you at the very beginning, when you log in and you're booting them up for the first time and trying to get the symbol barely visible within those two things, that's to kind of help you with some of that lighting and overall immersion. Mobility. Very good movement, clambering, flight. I think I mentioned this before. Good transitions. I think I put that in a VG. I probably just upgraded it from a G to a VG. Some things they need to fix. There is some clipping. You can actually see it happening right now on the shield. That shield is clipping through the arrow holder. That happens before. Happens a lot. Well, it happens in a noticeable way. I keep saying a lot, like it's happening everywhere. It just happens enough to where it's noticeable. So it's something that hopefully they fix over time. All right, that's it. That's all I have time for. I'm going to be here tomorrow morning playing and then yapping about what I play tomorrow. Yeah, I really, really like the game. It has me captivated. I put in the description of this video, the title says captivating, but in the description I said another way that you could probably describe how much I love this game is an addiction. But an addiction to me is something that you know is not good for you. You want to stop, but for some reason you can't. This is all good. Like, the intentions that Pearl Abyss put into this to make this a good game that people will love, while it does demand your time, while it also expects that you will give it that time to like explore and come across the things that it has to offer, it's an amazing captivation that has me thinking about it all the time. And when a person, a place, or a thing, and I say this in the comments, I'm just repeating myself, when a person, place, or thing can continue to engage your curiosity beyond that initial impression, beyond that initial play or meeting or reading of a book or watching of a movie, you go rewatch a movie, is because it captivated you. That's not an addiction. That's just you wanting to spend more time because it gives you enjoyment. And it's not illegal. It's not bad. Like addiction with drugs, it's a completely different thing. I get it. But this captivates me. It keeps my attention. It has me thinking about it, and I love returning to it. So I'll, at a future time, go into some of these average things, some things that I question, like what the I'll look at some of those things and talk about them. And then just some of my ideas and just things that, hey, maybe in the future try this. I've even said that the horse, could we just get the horse to match the kind of mobility so I don't have to hold down the X button while I'm running? Why can't I just tap it a couple of times and then let go of that button and just worry about the direction they're going? They've already fixed that, so there might be things that they've already been working on. It would be awesome. It would be awesome to see everything just to continuously get improved upon. But yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm having a great, great time. And I will try my best to create a video which maybe does a better job of making the screen bigger like I had here versus a list being scrolled through. I'd like to talk more about it. I may start that kind of process with Cyberpunk 2077 because I have that database, that thing that I was sharing before. I have a much larger one for Cyberpunk 2077, and I'd like to revisit some of the comments that I wrote down while I was playing it. They've obviously continuously updated that game. I'd like to return to some of those comments and say, well, this is what I thought when I initially saw it, and this is what it is now, or hey, it's still the same, it's still bad, it's still awesome, it's not so awesome. Like I have a really good time spending time with games, and I really think that that's an important thing to do. If you don't have time for Crimson Desert, maybe you spend 2 hours with it, but don't think that 100 hours is even a magical number. It's like, oh, I've played 100 hours, I've done everything. I can't say that that's possible because I've spent so many hours in one small location, and I just want to do the things. I want to live in the world. It's like a lifestyle game, so that might be it. It's a lifestyle game. Spend some time with it. But it's not like a gacha game, and I've played gacha games. I've played Genshin Impact. I've played Honkai Star Rail. I've played Zenless Zone Zero. I've played, what's the new one, Infield, and I kind of want to look at everness to neverness. I like those kind of things that demand your time or you have to spend money, but that's not what Crimson Abyss is. Crimson Abyss respects your time, and it will reward you for the time that you spend in it. If you rush through it, you're going to get enjoyment out of it, but you're going to have blinders on. And I think that to do the obligatory review, I think, is way too fast. It's way too fast. Give me a review after spending a year with this game. I really like going and watching people that have returned to their games or have said that they've spent, thousands of hours. Now, you say 1,000 hours, and yeah, you've spent some time. I like those kinds of videos. I like those kinds of perspectives. So, again, I got to head out. Thank you so much for spending some time with me here. Your time is the most valuable resource you have. So thank you so much if you came by and watched this not gameplay video, just watching me and listening to me. I'd like to hear your input, especially when I do Cyberpunk. I love talking about Cyberpunk. I'm going to love talking about this game as well. I've been doing this kind of content gathering, data gathering for all my games, so that when I talk about them, if I really get into them, then I have some kind of a perspective that means something, and I've got my notes. So yeah, it's an amazing game. Thank you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow for maybe another 2.5 hour stream. But again, thank you so much, and I'll see you very, very soon. All right. Bye.